disconnected from your guides. You are always receiving guidance. Most people don't realize what guidance is or where it's coming from. It's easy to think that this guidance is just random thoughts popping into your head. This makes it easy to dismiss. However, if everything you are receiving is guidance, then why are you not recognizing it as such? You receive guidance in many ways. In your dreams, or something someone says to you, the lyrics of a song that came up at just the right time, or maybe even you connect with our messages telepathically. These are not something you made up. These are all important messages being delivered to you by intention from us, your guides. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Let me unleash everybody here.
The power of the group.
There's Joy, and there is Veronica, and there is Tom. Hi, Tom. Now, I really don't feel so outnumbered. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
Your first time with us?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Good. We're happy to have you, Tom.
We are happy to have you.
Everyone's going to make you feel comfortable, so don't worry about that. If you have something that you want to talk about with regard to today's session, then
just jump right in.
Yeah, just jump right in and talk about it. And it's about what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides. Veronica, I want to start with you.
Hi, Veronica.
And I want to start with Veronica because Veronica left a comment on this post today. All right.
Oh, a good one too.
Yeah, it was good. And Veronica, go ahead and share with the group how you're doing. And I did comment on your post.
Okay.
So look for the comment because it's exactly how I feel about how you've done. All right, and you're doing great.
That is great. Yeah, I feel like. So the topic was how it feels when you're disconnected. So the other side of that.
And the key word is feels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How it feels. You know, you're going to know it by the way it feels. All right.
Right. And so then the opposite of that is how it feels when you are connected. So I felt both things for sure. And what my comment was on your thing today was that I'm feeling so connected. In fact, I want to take a little tiny side thing to say, when I see your background today, it blew my mind because I saw an image similar to that when I woke up this morning.
Wow, Veronica, I have chills as you tell me this, okay?
I know, I couldn't
that is, you're so aligned in the flow, with the connection, you're one with it. That's what that is. Right? You're really doing well.
Well, it really so blows my mind when you get you get an image or a message or whatever, some guidance, and at the moment you're like, whatever that means. And then a little bit later you're like, oh my God, that's what it means.
You know, and I want to say, Veronica, that's happened more than one time with us. With you and I.
Yes.
The yellow brick road, the door.
Yes.
Remember her picture there in the background?
The picture you drew that connects with that no sooner than I did it, you brought the picture out and showed it. So
we did that picture, 10 years ago or something? Did you do it a long time ago?
No, she just did it.
No, I had done it a long time, but I had just unearthed it with my move.
Okay, there it is. Interesting.
It shows up when it's supposed to show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, they've been doing a lot of good things with the ATUC group.
Right.
With her and Joy and Kathy and
you guys,
Janet.
And you know, every time you get together and you connect and the momentum builds, it's like it gets stronger, you know, and you quit doubting yourself. That's a huge part of it, where you no longer doubt yourself. Well, go ahead, Veronica. Sorry to interrupt. We couldn't.
No, that's okay. So what my comment is that I am feeling so connected like that, and I'm getting really good messages when I do my work on the board, and many different times during the day and stuff. And what I just noticed today was that now this is the third one, if we count this thing that I see, behind you, as I'm like feeling like I'm in alignment with other people too. And in 2 cases today, I got a message for another person. And it was super clear. I just knew that.
Okay.
And,
First of all, Veronica, did you write it down?
yes.
Did you tell them?
One of them I told, the other one I did not tell.
Okay. Just let them know that, if they need to know something, that you may know what it is, you're happy to help, But
Yeah.
always ask for that permission.
That's the way I did it with the one gal that I did tell. I said, I got this message. I said, well, I was in meditation for you. Let me know if you'd like to know what it is. And she said, yeah. So I sent it to her, and I haven't talked to her yet about it.
Awesome. That's awesome. And part of this thing with you, Veronica, is voicing yourself. You're not holding yourself down anymore and holding yourself back anymore. That's a big part of it. I want to say this to you, Veronica.
Okay.
When I was putting up this image today, the background for today, I had a different one selected.
Oh.
And I went to this one and I went, and you know what I saw? I saw you. This is the truth. I saw you. You know what, on Halloween, when you wore that veil?
Oh, yeah.
I saw a flash of you doing that. and I said, there's something about this.
Oh, my God.
It was you that I saw. So I went ahead and I went with this one. All right.
Oh, my God. Fascinating.
So it's interesting, you guys, always when you have friends, when you have tight friends like you have with this group, share what you get with each other. You guys, if somebody shows up in your dream, in the group that shows up, don't be afraid to share that with them in the group. All right. Don't be afraid to do that, because you guys are connected. You guys are opening up. It's because you guys are a group and you feel safe in that you're able to access this easier, more fluidly. All right.
Yeah.
So it's really progressing, you guys. You guys are doing really well, and it's because of that connection, So, Veronica, awesome. You are coming a long way. And check out my reply to your comment in the blog post today. All right.
I will.
It pretty much says what I talked about. Okay. Tom.
Hi.
Hi, Tom. So Tom, how did you find me?
So you and myself and Ray did a phone call probably about 1.5 years ago, maybe a year ago.
Okay.
And so I get your emails and I read all of them, and I thought, I happen to be here, and I'm like, I read the email just now, and I'm like, well, I'll get on if it's 8 o'clock. And it was 8 o'clock. It was 8:01. I'm like, okay, I must get on.
Great, Tom. Join us. Now, we are here, and this is kind of like, this is a coaching session with me.
Okay.
So you've had one of those, so you know what that feels like. If you have whatever question, whether you have it right now or it pops into your mind as we're progressing through this tonight, just feel free to, speak up and talk about what it is you want to know about. Do you know what that is right now?
I do not. I'm here to all ears.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we have an active group here. They've been here with us for a long time, and these guys are getting it. They're really connecting with it, and it happens. It's a matter of practice and consistency.
Yeah.
That this builds. So if you were to say that you have a connection to your guides, where would you have the strongest connection? Is it in your dreams? Is it, when is it?
It is in my dreams. If I can tell a quick story, I've had nightmares probably 2 or 3 a month for a couple of years, 2-3 years, maybe longer. And I thought, well, I'm going to really look into my dreams. And I turned 50, and I'm like, I have to, kind of figure out why I'm here in life. And so I started working on my dreams. And so I started a dream journal. And I've been doing the dream journal for about 1.5 years, and I know how to illustrate. very loosely. So I literally write down my dreams and illustrate, and I do it every night, and my nightmares have stopped. And my dreams are extremely vivid. Like I can have 6 dreams, wake up and remember all of them, and I write them down.
Oh,
Wow.
I have a lot of dreams, crazy dreams, fun. And a lot of my dreams, when you, Ray, and myself were talking, were very people-less. They were very cartoony and very plasticky. I mean, really odd stuff. I don't know if we can go that deep right now, people. But anyway, so the dreams have gotten really fun. Just lots of people and events, and I think very telling things. And
how about clarity for you?
What's that?
How about clarity for you?
Clarity for me. You know what? I just literally the other day I thought, well, I have to start doing something with these dreams because I don't know what they mean. So I started looking up Edward Casey or Edgar Casey, and I literally just started that the other day, and I need to start analyzing these dreams.
Yeah. There's 2 books I'm going to recommend to you, Tom. All right.
Okay.
I'll show them to you. I have them right here.
I'll write them down.
Okay. One is, and for everybody, one is Betty Bethard's The Dream Book. Okay. And this book is just a good little handbook. It doesn't answer everything, but it's pretty good about the ones it does answer. It's pretty good. There is no perfect book for dreams. All right. But this one here is a pretty good contender.
That's probably at the top of the list.
Yeah. This will cover things like what does it mean in a dream when I jump off a bridge, or what does a bridge mean, or something like that. Then there's Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. This one here talks about the physical part, your body, all the different parts of, different ailments you might have, or, pains you might have, or whatever's going on with your body, it'll bring it up in the dream. That's where this comes in. Where this one here is more about people, places, and things. That's what this one here is more about. And now in between these 2, what you want to use is a thesaurus. So you take one of the words in your dream that you wrote down, and you go, wow, I need to run that through a thesaurus to see all the what ifs, around that word, to trigger your experience in the dream. It's not to drive you in a certain direction, to make you reason something out because your ego wants to understand it. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to trigger the dream message, all right? And that's not the ego. So between these 2, the thesaurus, and you can dig through a lot of it, all right?
And Nina has joined us.
Hi, Nina.
Look at this. This is starting to look like the Brady Bunch, isn't it?
So Tom, I want to stay with you for a minute here. Okay, Tom's been working with his dreams. We've worked with Tom before. The guides are well aware of what he's experiencing. Tom, are you ready to have your guides talk to you about what's going on with these dreams and where you are with them right now in your life?
Sure.
Okay, so the guides are going to come through. You know how this works. And always, before you connect with your guides, always breathe. It's you that gets in the way of the message, not them. They're always right there, all right? And your spirit guides and angels are here with us now, Tom, and they're going to just talk to you about where you are right now, all right?
Hello, Tom. It's nice to have you here with us tonight. In your dreams, you must take note of each character in them. You will have a feeling about each character and even illustrate them differently. However, you must remember that you are everybody in the dream, even if it's a male or a female. These characters are just different aspects of you. It's a balance of feminine and masculine energy and how they work together. Once you realize this, you will start to see messages between the characters in the dream and how those different aspects of your life fit in at this moment.
Now, what about the cartoon characters? What are you trying to convey to him by presenting him with these cartoonish type characters?
That was more in the past, and the characters are showing up more clearly now. You have taken them out of the realm of just fantasy and made them real in your life. Study each character's image and how they act in the dream so you can see how this is you and how you may act like this in real life.
Okay, one other thing about this, Tom, is your guides will attempt to reach you first in your dreams. They prefer telepathy, but they know that they could scare people. You know, they just come through telepathically. They could alert somebody. All right. So they come through your dreams because you're halfway there. You're on the other side when you're asleep. You've largely let go of this world and you're released from it, at least for that 6 to 8 hours a night. So they use that opportunity where you're more in sync with them so they can reach you and start working with you from there. That's how they started working with me as a little kid, you know. It started out with the merry-go-round tree in chapter 1. So they start where you are, you know. And then as you begin to become aware of what these dreams are telling you and that this guidance is there and there's more going on than you ever thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you start waking up and you journal this stuff and you start seeing what's going on, you know. Then they start coming through in other ways. They still come through your dreams, but now they've got your attention. So that's how they begin to come. Have they been doing that more?
Have they been doing it more? Yes, a lot. I dream a lot, and I literally wake up and I try and commit it to memory and just go back to sleep, and then I journal it all in the morning.
Right. It's real important that you do that. You're going to move through this so quickly by doing what you're doing, acting on it, and documenting it, logging it, journaling it. You know?
Yeah.
And you're going to move through it really quickly. I can only tell you. Then you sit down and you try to dissect that dream. You know, what is that? And they are there to help you all the time. This guidance is always with you. So you're working through the early parts of it, all right? But, you know, not really, because when you come into this life as a little baby, a new person, you come in alive. You come in connected. You're plugged in. You haven't disconnected from that guidance. It's real, you know?
Yeah.
So really what you're doing is you're just reestablishing that connection is what you're really doing. And you'll move through it quickly.
Yeah, it's been very cool. It's been a lot of fun.
I know, it's awesome. And where it's taking you is the coolest part. So, you're one of the lucky ones, Tom.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question about dreams. Do you ever get to the point where you can tell your guides what kind of dreams you want to have? Like, I want to have a mountain climbing dream, or a surfing dream, or I'm driving a race car dream, or
I could say that you could. I guess in the beginning they would work with you on that level, just so you could start somewhere. Okay, if that's what you wanted to do, they'd go, okay, we could go with this, just to start working with them, because at least they're opening up. But I can only say that an example of that would be, kind of a loose example of that is, while in the mid-1980s, I was really into dreams. I was learning about them. I was going to dream classes, and I was excelling. I couldn't believe how fast I learned it. I was primed for it. And I finally stepped into it. And there was a class where she taught this class for like 6 weeks about lucid dreaming. I went off the charts with lucid dreaming, because she goes, anything you want to, the teacher says, anything that you want to ask or know about, you only have to ask in a lucid dream. You can ask the question and you will get the answer. Or if you want to do something, you can do it in a lucid dream and nobody can stop you. I was like, yes, this is my kind of dream. All right. So I'm learning this dreaming. And then I got to a point in the dreams, I was just on fire learning this stuff. And in this one dream, I was lucid, and my guides were all there, and they were showing me things. They were teaching me things night after night. And they said, well, it's time for you to go back now, Linda. And I said, no, I'm lucid. I don't have to go back. I'm not going back. Because I knew, I learned this in my class, I could do anything in my dreams if I'm lucid, right? And you guys, as soon as I was like, no, there's no way I'm going back there, boom, I woke up. Okay? It's like so funny that you don't have the control you think you do. Mm-hmm. And the teacher was right to a point, when I wasn't ever coming back. And they were like, they didn't even argue with me. It was such a no-brainer that I had no business being on the other side yet, not your time. So it's interesting how it works, You
had a lot of dreams you told me about where they picked up the next night, right where they left off the night before.
Oh yeah, it gets really intense. So when you connect with them in your dreams, it's just the beginning of your connection to your guides. It grows. It becomes way bigger than that. Because once again, everybody, is their communication choice is always telepathy. And so when you're working with your talking board and they're coming through, letter by letter, and you're kind of, laboring through that process to learn how to work with this energy and connect with it and stay connected and not try to let your ego get in there and start messing around, and interrupt the flow. What you're really doing, this is the training wheels to learn how to have this telepathic communication with your guides. That's what this really is. So this is a place to focus. This is a place to start and get your intuitive muscles working again, But it's always telepathy where they're taking you. So, Joy.
Joy has a new background too. Linda has a new background. Joy has a new background. Is that your office?
Joy has a great.
It's my Zen den.
Your Zen den. Okay, is that like a man cave thing?
Yes, exactly.
You have a lot of books.
She does.
I've gotten rid of probably 90% of the books now that things are digital. But
yeah, I know.
So Joy, what's been going on regarding you? Let me go to the topic.
Feeling disconnected.
What it feels like to be disconnected from your guides.
Well, I don't remember now. It hasn't been that long being disconnected. All I know is when something happens now, I want to run in and that's who I want to talk to, you know, and get guidance. If anything is exciting or amiss or whatever, I immediately want to go and get counsel. Whereas in the beginning, you know, when you're struggling right along and it's taken an hour and you got nothing, and, you know.
But she's here's what she's talking about, Tom, so you know. She works with the talking board. She uses the pendulum because she doesn't do it with a partner.
Well, they get together on
Wednesday
nights.
You guys get together on Wednesday nights, but outside of that, when she needs counsel, she's using the pendulum, all right? And in the beginning, it was really archaic, you know, slow, and she wasn't sure if it was coming from her or the guidance, and, you know, it was all that. And every Tuesday, we would get together, and she would work through it with us and with the group. Everybody helps each other, you know, and compare notes. And then now they get together on Wednesday nights with their group, with their private group, with Veronica and
Nina and Kathy.
Right, but Veronica heads up the group with her Zoom platform, with her webinar, and then they take it to another level where they learn together, you know, and then they get together again with us on Thursdays to learn a private group using the talking board, and every Tuesday to work through the different insights that come out each week that the guides decide that's what you guys are all ready for, like what's really important. So
the Thursday group is the private Facebook Ask the Universal channel group.
Right.
And that's only for people who have one of the versions of the board, like the manufactured version, the digital version, or the printable one.
Right.
And then everybody, that's kind of like the cover charge to join the group. And then everybody gets together, and Veronica and Joy, they post, and Kathy posts some of the things that she's receiving during the day. You can post your stuff on the group, everybody can see it, and you can talk about it. And
it's really good. And it really helps. You guys, okay, Veronica, Joy, Nina, and Kathy, how has this whole process of connecting with us, getting with us each week, how has it progressed you?
Fast forward. It's put us on fast forward.
Fast forward. That's good.
It's I wanted a connection for years now and couldn't do it no matter what. And as soon as I made the commitment, and it's the doing the same things every day until you learn it, and then seeing that other people, you know, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm so far behind. This is going to be like everything else, and I just don't learn it. And then all of a sudden, you know, as things started coming through. And then when you're with the other people and seeing they're doing the exact same thing as you, then there's validation, and it's good. And now I'm getting validation from the information I'm getting, which is, you know, things that they'll say, then it happens, and it's like, holy cow, you know. Okay, so it's not what they're telling you is actually you're seeing it play out. Yeah, remember the warning that I was going to have identity theft?
Yeah.
Well, okay, now at first I was notified that 2 accounts had been breached a year and 2 years ago. Well, this month I got another one, and it happened 4 days before they told me to change my card. And it was just buying touch-up paint for my car because it got a pebble, did a pit, and they got compromised. And they let us all know that it was just 4 days before.
Wow.
Before you got the message.
Yeah, and got my card changed and
that's just the tip of the iceberg, you guys. Okay, Nina.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go back here a little bit and all to Tom and all, because when I get dreams a lot as well. And I first started with Edgar Cayce, studying the Edgar Cayce materials and all. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I've invaded a party here so I apologize.
No. Do we love this guy or what, you guys?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sometimes they gang up on me, Tom.
Yes. Well, I have 4 brothers and 5 sisters, and they call me the 6th sister. I'm extremely sensitive. So, so I'm fit right in here with you guys. I usually hang with my 5 sisters.
This is a fun group.
This is really and
Awesome.
Kathy, how has this whole experience with the group accelerated your process?
It's just made me more confident that I've always had that sixth sense, that intuition, but I've not always trusted it. So it's just made me more confident to trust what I'm hearing and go with it.
That's a big part of it right there.
Trusting that you're talking to somebody else and not to yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, because you guys, it feels so natural. Tom, I don't know if you know about the other 2 books I just published recently. My Guided Journey. Okay.
I read the first 2.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Or the first one. This one right here on your, just next to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. My Guided Journey is the companion journal to Guided. And it takes you through a process where it takes you back into your life to the beginning, where all the weird stuff started, I'd say. That the stuff from this world started crashing in on you and severing the connection to your guidance. I mean, a lot of times we react when we're little kids. We're like, oh, we're caught off guard. And before we know it, we feel like, oh, we can't have that connection. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I shouldn't be doing that. You know, that type of feeling.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah, it feels like a punishment because with the people in this world, what they're trying to do is get you sobered up and able to acclimate to this world so you can survive, you know. And at the cost of breaking this connection, because to them, they've all done it. You know, it's no big deal. That's the way they thought. But it's certainly a big deal when we break that and sever that connection and walk around. It's like dragging a leg. You know, you're here, but you're dragging a leg. You're not complete. You're not together, you know. So that's really what My Guided Journey is all about. You might want to check into that. Yeah. So it's on Amazon, and it was published a month and a half ago or so.
And it's only in paperback because you write in it.
Right. It's a journal. Yeah.
So
and it's got all the support videos and MP3s and everything that goes with it to really help you walk that way, you know?
Yeah, each one of those 18 or 19?
19.
19 chapters.
No, 18.
18 chapters plus an extra one. And what we did, it came out about a little over a year ago, a year and a half ago, as a free download on Linda's website, but it was only like 40 pages long. And
It's the free download is still there, but it's like the crude version of what we have now as a published version. Yeah.
it got polished and it got improved until we were ready.
Beta tested.
Yeah, beta tested for over a year until we published it.
Yeah.
And it really came out well.
Yeah.
And it really does walk you back, takes you by the hand and walks you backwards through your life, no matter where you are now, back to the time when everybody started feeding you all the information that was wrong, that you started to base decisions on for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it had to do with our reaction to it. It wasn't so much that it was all wrong. It was the fact that we got frightened into it. All right. And when you're coerced, when you're pushed, when you're frightened, when you're scared, when you're fearful, it takes you. It's the wrong interpretation of what they're trying to tell you here in this world. You know, at the cost of breaking the connection to where we came from. You know, that's where we suffer. And then we get to be about 40, 35 is when it hit me really hard, 40, 50. And we go, you know what? I know there's something missing, got to make that connection. Got to get that back because I feel vulnerable without it,
That's about the time people think, they all start asking the same questions. Well, who am I and why am I here?
And it's a feeling. It's a feeling. And so you guys, it ties into today about what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like until you have a basis of comparison, if you were just always connected to your guides, You wouldn't know what it feels like to be disconnected from them. You wouldn't know, all right? But people in this world know what that feels like. They just don't remember it was their guides. It was where they came from. It is who they are, you know? Because they're all the same. Your guides, your higher self, higher intelligence, higher learning, the universe, home, where you came from, where you go back to, when you're released from this world, when your contract is up. It's a feeling of, and when we feel this disconnection, I'm going to just go through the insight real quickly. I don't read the whole thing anymore, but I jump around. And with the first thing that you feel, from my guided journey, the first thing I cover in chapter 1 is, out of 18 chapters, is fear. Fear is the first thing that came in and interrupted us and caused us to start disconnecting. Okay, something happened. We're all different, but something happened there. And receiving guidance requires that you stop the panic in your life and get calm. So that fear had it was such an abrupt feeling that it threw you into panic. It caught you off guard. We all remember that feeling as a little kid, like, oh, you know, this world was so harsh, you know? And then, once you learn how to release the pressure, and I talk about it in Guided from the beginning of my life, I felt the panic, the fear of the panic. I was desperate. And when I asked for help, someone help me. That's when, I guess, enveloped in that was some kind of hope or confidence that I would get answered, that I knew that, although that was my last resort, I knew that was the right thing to do. And in doing it, I released the pressure that was associated with that fear and that panic that caused me to ask for the help, all right? And when I asked for that help, I had some confidence that it would show up, and boom, it did, all right? That's when these guides showed up all around me. Okay, it changed everything. And the takeaway, the big takeaway that moment at 20 months old was that this life was not all there was. Okay, so as long I knew that this life was not all there was in a way that was beyond telepathy. See, that's how they spoke to me, because I was still connected. I was only 20 months old. The connection wasn't broken yet. Mm-hmm. So the telepathy came through, and I knew it came from them. I saw them. I knew it was them. I didn't think it was me, you know, because it feels so natural, this telepathy. It feels, that's why you doubt yourself. You think, well, did it come from me or did it come from my guides? Mm-hmm. It's so natural that it feels like it's you, all right? So it's a connection, like before you get here, where you go back to, when you're released from this world, you are back in the oneness. So that oneness, it's you and all that is, all right? So it gets confused like that. So at 20 months old when this happened and they all showed up, and that message, the big takeaway that day, I got other things too, but the big one was that this life was not all there is. I had no reason to be fearful again. No reason. I knew what they knew. I saw what my guides saw. I remembered. So this thing about fear, once you step through it, you know, you can't get around it. You can't cheat. You can't pretend. You got to go right through it, you know. And when you finally do that, what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides, you'll never know what that feels like again. Not once you overcome the fear, which is the whole point to my guided journey. It takes you right into the fear, right off the bat. And that's where the pearl is in you, is to realize what that first fear was, your reaction to it, what happened, who was there, write it down and go, huh. It will literally take you months to digest that into your system, to see how it's affected so many things along your way and up to where you are right now. And how that one fear controlled so many parts of your life that you didn't, at the point that you're at, you thought it was just normal. It was so constant, but it's not normal.
That's how guidance starts out, with fear.
It does.
With the merry-go-round dream. Everybody on the merry-go-round, except you were hanging out with one hand, having the time of your life, and they were getting so afraid that they just let go and flew off.
Right. And it was frightening. I mean, I saw all this happen, and I was like, oh, my God, they missed the point.
They have to get back on the ride.
And so that was the whole point in me being here. That was the whole point in this incarnation, in mine, you know? So they always let you know. Those dreams are powerful, Tom. All of you. Your dreams are awesome. Yeah. And it's worthy of reviewing your dreams every morning. It's so important that you take that 10 or 15 minutes in that twilight where you just rest back into that place and let yourself remember as much as you can. Do you do that, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
That's so...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I lay there for a while and try and review it in the way that it was revealed to me. And then I get up, make bullet points, and then I start writing the whole thing out.
Perfect. The bullet points is his shorthand. And he takes the shorthand, and then when he goes through it and he writes the dream out, that's the triggers. Boom, boom, right, Tom?
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you guys want to see a picture?
Yes.
Love it.
One of these dreams. It's in this wooden journal that this friend gave me.
Wooden one. Wow.
And I don't know if I have a good one.
Oh, wow.
This is a whole city, and these are giant pipes over the entire. So this is like a city block. You see buildings, and then I'm in these 3 yellow trucks, and we're taking a turn down the boulevard. This is a boulevard right here. And there's these massive brown, like, pipes.
Wow.
And so I just sketch. They're not perfect drawings, right? And then I describe, I'll describe the dream.
Looks like an alien invasion.
It really does. I'll just share one more just to give you some idea. This, I don't know if you'll be able to see this really well, but that is a pool, but it's not really a pool. It's like a cake, a layered cake inverted, and I'm swirling inside this with ships. And it has this big opening with these, I'm encased in a big wall, So this whole thing is a wall. And, and then this is me coming out. I'm being flushed out. I mean, these are crazy dreams, right? I mean, this is at least mine. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So that one that you're showing us right now makes me think of, water represents emotions, all right?
Emotional energy.
Emotional energy in a dream. And in this emotional energy that you find yourself in this pool of emotional energy, you are being flushed out.
You're swirling around.
You're swirling around, but you're getting pushed out. That energy, you're being released from it.
Mm.
So when you look at that dream and that time in your life, when you wrote that, when you had that dream, you want to take a look at what was going on in your life. What kind of emotional turmoil was going on at that time?
Yeah.
And how did you find your way out of that?
Right. I guess writing checks for my 3 daughters in college. Just write the check.
Write the check. Keep writing, Tom. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But I'll start paying attention. I've just been journaling, and now I really want to go to the next, the next level.
The next level is, how does that dream interface with your life?
Yeah.
What is that dream telling you? And how is it trying to bring attention to what you need to know in your life at this time?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
That's number one. See, in my guided journey, what you're going to get, my guided journey, the last 20 pages of it is just the journaling part. And it takes you through that sequence Ray was just referring to, where it not only asks you to write the dream down, if it's a dream, but it asks you to walk through the sequence of questions after you had that dream, after you wrote it down. And here's how it works. Okay, start writing about, okay, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, write it down, write the dream down, or the message, or the guidance, or whatever it was. And then write down how this felt. How did the dream make you feel? That is a huge clue into what this dream is trying to tell you. Write down what you realized from the dream. That's one of Joy's, it doesn't connect with how it made her feel, but she always has the realization of what she realized from the dream. She's real quick with that. And then the last one is, what action did you take? How did you apply it to your life? Now, when you take that last step, what action did you take and how you applied it to your life? Now you're advanced. That's an advanced action, okay? Where you actually take the dream, you see what it means, how it feels, how you reacted to it, and now how you're going to act on it. That's advanced.
Yeah.
So get this. Make sure you get this, Tom, because it'll start making a lot of sense. All right. Okay, what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides, you guys. What else do we have? Go ahead, Ray.
Right. Well, we were talking about this before, and I started thinking, I started making some notes. What does it feel to be disconnected from your guides? Well, the first word that came to my mind was lost. Feel
right.
Lost.
No direction.
Right. Okay. Now, I got the vision of, you said first of all, you start to ask yourself questions.
Right.
You feel lost.
Instead of having answers and knowing what to do.
Right. You start to ask questions. You get anxious. You start to worry.
Right.
You start to bring doubt into the whole situation.
That was in the session today.
Right.
That was covered in the session.
I read that. Okay. So my vision that I thought of is you're driving across the desert all by yourself. You're driving across the desert going somewhere. Okay. You're in your air-conditioned car. You're just zooming along, listening to the radio, whatever, and your car breaks down out in the middle of the desert. And you get out of the car, and you got no cell phone reception. So now here come the questions. Is anyone else out here with me? I don't see anybody else. Will anybody find me way out here in the middle of nowhere? Will I be able to walk to get help? I didn't plan for this. There you go. I didn't plan for this, so I was just following the map. I was just going through life. I was just doing what everybody else does.
Right.
I didn't plan for it, and I probably don't have enough water or food, even if I start walking. I can't sustain.
Right.
Okay? So then I started thinking about, well, you could be out in the middle of nowhere and be lost, but you could also be out in the middle of everywhere. You could be lost in the middle of New York City. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how you would feel.
Or just in your life. Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. You feel lost. Mm-hmm. It's just like a car breaking down.
So it's the same feeling.
Right. I mean, you might be able to postpone something. You might, start getting dark or cold and you sleep in your car.
So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the takeaway that I got in part one when I asked for help. Okay, part two actually, when I asked for help, and they showed up. And the takeaway was, this life is not all there is. Eliminated all the fear. Fear had no place in my life. If this life is not all there is, what do I have to worry about? Even if I died, I'm going to be fine.
Right.
Okay. So once you get past that fear, that feeling that this is all there is, every time you feel that you're out of options and everything's going against you, you start feeling like this life is all there is, and it's not true. All right. We make this into something bigger than it ever was. So as soon as that happens, you just go, I just have to go with that thought, that idea, that possibility that this life is not all there is. And as soon as you feel yourself say that, you'll go, well, of course this is not all there is. I know that, right? You guys all know that, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. As long as you know that that's true, if you keep your journaling up and you keep in touch with yourself and your guides and your universe and where it is that you need to be at any given time, your true north, all right, where you're being guided to go, how could anything ever hurt you? Including there comes a time when our contract's up and it's time to move on, you know. And I want you to know that that's a good day. That's a real good day. It's a good day because we saw it through, we lived it out, we gave it everything we had, all right? We learned what we came here to learn. We became more than we were before we got here. What more could you ask for? Quit letting this life scare you so much. It's not true. It's false. Okay? Mm-hmm. This life is not all there is. This is part of the journey. You know, what is John Lennon? What did John Lennon say?
He said, crossing over is like stepping out of one car and getting in another one.
I love that. You know, and I got to tell you, the car you get into, you're going to really like. Yeah. I mean it. I've been there so many times. I've been to the other side. I've been with the guides. I've been with them on so many different levels.
Hi, people. I'm on a webinar. How are you?
Oh, did you just cry for me?
What she did.
I think she just cried for me.
She
Sorry.
probably did.
Hi, Bob.
Sorry.
You know, a lot of times we bring our pets, our cats and dogs, to
Yeah, that's Waffle. And my boy.
What's his name?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Waffle. You know, so anyway, this thing with you know, this feeling we get where we feel disconnected, like Ray was talking about, you have those moments, those sudden feelings. You get hot. You just feel a hot rush, like I'm alone. Oh my God, what am I going to do?
I'm in the middle of nowhere. The word I felt, stranded. That's the word I felt.
Alone.
Alone. Stranded.
Okay, you
alone.
are never alone, and what? Always being guided. All right. Mm-hmm. So even if that was your fate, your way out, your whatever, you guys, it's fine. You know, it's all fine. If we let that fear go, we can start thinking clearly. If this isn't all there, you know, that's the end of it right there. If there is more for us to experience and the contract's not up, then you can now be open and clear to receive the guidance. But when you're in fear, you lock it all down. Guidance can't reach you. It's like closing the store. No one can get in.
You have to go through the panic stage, and you have to ask. You know, when I've heard the story, you know, the story from chapter 2 where, you know, your mother beat you unconscious and you woke up and you were in a panic.
Right.
And in that panic moment, you ask for help, and they all appeared. Now, I had a funny vision that they were always there.
They were.
They were behind that veil, behind that curtain, however people like to explain it. They're just on the other side of the veil. They were always there. Right. And you were already 20 months old. Now, here's what I thought. Do you think that during those 20 months, they were talking to each other, maybe looking at their watches saying, I wonder how long it's going to be before she asks for help? Her mother's beating her every day.
Yeah.
How long is it going to be? You know, did they have a little spirit office pool, you know, betting how long you're going to be before you ask? You know?
You could just about, I mean, that's a funny way, a little slant on it. Ray would be the one that would do something like that.
As soon as you asked, there they were.
Well, that's right. And really what lets them come through is when you release the panic. See, they're always right there. They're right here. They're right here. But as soon as we release the panic, then we don't have it blocking it. So then we notice that they're right there. Mm-hmm. It's that easy. And for me, every time that they've been right there, and they've always been right there, I became used to it. It became normal to me. And the more, as a kid, the more normal it became to me, the more abnormal I appeared to everyone else. You know, which it sounds really good. Oh my God, Lindy, you made the connection at 20 months old. How could you? I mean, I wish I could have done that. But you know, the consequences of making that connection at any age, there's always consequences. People will say, well, you know, you're weird, or, you know, they don't understand you, or
they judge you,
or you're alone more.
Right.
That's another thing. you'll find that it feels good to be alone because, you know, you've got this connection and you're at peace with yourself and you can figure everything out when you have that connection. So why would you want anyone interrupting it? That was my world growing up. All right. So I really was kind of selfish in my world. I liked it being left alone, you know, and allowed to connect with that guidance. So that's what you'll feel as you're moving through this. You'll feel the need to have more time out, at that time alone, that 15 minutes a day, you guys, that we talk about, that 15 minutes where it's your time out and it's your most important meeting of the day with your guides. You focus on just that connection. And like you guys have been talking about, Kathy talked about this, and I think Joy talked about this, and I think Veronica started talking about this. They do it at a certain time of the day or night. It's always like right in that same time frame where they have this meeting with their guides. All right, and they're writing in their journal, they're using their talking board, they're using their pendulum, they're working together as a group, you know, on Zoom with Veronica, and they get together. So it's reinforcement, and it's just like your dreams, Tom. I'm going to say this too. This is a big downfall with dreams. The reason people don't remember their dreams or they can't get their heads around it, it's got people in this world that do not validate your dreams. They look at dreams like, oh, that was just a dream. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. It was just a dream. Oh, it's what you ate last night. That's why you had that dream. You know, they have all these ways to dismiss it. And these dreams couldn't be more right on the money than any guidance that you'll get, because you are out of the way. You're asleep. You know,
I think that he illustrates his dreams means something as well.
I know another guy that we work with, and he does the same thing. He illustrates his dreams as well as writes them out. And he's brilliant. I mean, this is like so brilliant. As time goes by, you start to see, as you refer back to it, you start to see what it is. Especially as you start breaking through this dream code, you start understanding what these dreams mean.
I have an observation and a question. The observation is the first chapter in My Guided Journey is fear, facing your fears, and then the second one is ask, how to ask, right?
Right.
So you got to get past that fear, or you have to get to that point with your fear or your panic where you can't stand it anymore, and you ask somebody for help.
Right.
Okay? So that's just the observation. I thought that was interesting the way they came out in the book. Fear, ask.
Right.
Fear, ask, just like chapter 2.
Well, that's how it came from experience. I learned this by walking through it. That's what I learned.
Now the question is, how about people who question the fact that they even have guidance? How do they break through that? They know that there's something wrong. They can't do it by themselves. That's the first thing they realize. I'm stuck. Whatever I'm doing isn't working. Whatever I've been doing hasn't worked in the past. So what am I doing wrong? Who do I ask for help? I mean, guys feel very nervous about asking for help. They won't even ask for directions.
Right, that's true.
Here's the map. No, I don't need a map.
Okay, so what Ray's talking about, okay, I'm going to answer it right here. It's right in My Guided Journey, and I'm going to read this one part because it's right here. I remember it coming through. I can't say that I wrote this just out of my, you know, just everything that I know. I was guided to write this, and I was connected when I wrote this, and it's a bleed through from the guides and me and the guides and me. It's the whole thing. Okay, so fear, chapter 1. The old forget how to keep the secrets. The middle-aged protect the secrets. The young feel the shame of the secrets. Okay? Hint, this pressure triggered your first fear, and the pressure was the shame. Okay, it's amazing. You just purged that out of me. It's right. It's the shame, and the shame is something that you carry, and you kind of protect. You know, you don't talk about it. It's not something anybody would ever talk about, right? You've got to protect the family secrets. There's nothing more sacred than that, right? So until you break through these family secrets and, you open up Pandora's box and you see what's in there, and you feel, the first thing you will feel when that shame comes through as that little tiny child, because that's where it first hit you, is the shame. You looked at it and you didn't want to believe it. You wanted them to get along. You wanted them to like each other. You didn't want this conflict. That's what the child feels, okay? So then the child feels the fear hit and the shame hit, and now the child has something to protect, all right? It's starting to move into that mode. So where were you going with that?
Well, I think it's the asking part is tough for a lot of people.
Because it's the shame. See,
people are
fear,
saying, guys are, okay, it's not macho for guys to ask for help.
I know, but the first chapter in My Guided Journey starts with fear. And that's where the shame resides. So then in chapter 2 comes ask. Well, fear will keep you from, shame will keep you from asking. Shame, you would never ask. Who would do that? That type of feeling? Oh, I would never ask. I should know that, right?
People have been conditioned, I think a lot of people have been conditioned
Not
that
to
asking
ask.
is a sign of weakness. If you have to ask somebody
Shame.
else to help, yeah,
It's shame.
you should be ashamed of that. You
You've
should
been
know that.
You've been shamed out of asking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's interesting how the whole society set this all up. And you were so little when it happened, you were like, oh, you before you knew it, you were just a part of it then, right?
Yeah.
Now you're waking up to it and you're going, wait a second, shame's ruled my life. I kept my mouth shut for so long. I've repressed myself. Veronica,
Yeah.
that's just, so, Veronica, you still don't know what you're protecting. You're going to learn. You're going to know what it is. A couple more months, 3 more months, it's going to just show you. All right. And when you see what that is, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a secret formula that's special for you. But when you see it, you will wake up out of that. You will never go back to that. No one will ever be able to control you like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And shame.
Mm-hmm.
It's based in shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a relief.
It is. It's a horrible burden.
What amazes me is how much psychology is in My Guided Journey, stuff that you never heard about in any psychology book or Psychology Today article or anything you've learned about psychology in college or whatever. It's always, oh, mommy didn't love me, or
It's a shortcut. It's just a thought that gets lost. There's no journey to it where you can tie it together and see it for yourself. So that this thing about today, what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides. It starts with those early feelings, the early impacts of this world crashing in on you. You're born to this dysfunctional family. Of course you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way the world is, Now you've got to find yourself through this maze, How do I get through this maze? You guys talk to me.
One baby step at a time for me.
True. That's how it's done. And unwinding.
Mm-hmm.
a little baby can only hang on for about 2 years before it starts to get to them, and they start to get ornery. And they have a disease for it, the terrible twos. Oh my goodness, child's rebelling, the rebellious three-nager, that kind of stuff.
Thank God for that part of us. That's called your spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what that's called. And they're
trying to beat it out of you.
Ray was raised in the Catholic system,
Yeah.
and so he remembers the nuns,
Yeah.
Everybody has a different experience with it all, So,
Apparently I didn't have a good enough experience. I had 12 years of it. I had to get more of it.
Mm.
So when you stop the panic in your life and you get calm, okay, that's the key. How do you get a hold of yourself to realize that you're making this more than it is, remembering that this life is not all there is. As soon as I realized that, the panic stopped in an instant, and I could see everybody, all the guides, I could see them all. I could connect with that. But before that, I was consumed in this muck and mire of fear and panic. I wasn't available. I wasn't able to be reached. So that's what will get in your way. You got to learn how to unwind what that is, how to take that fear and write that bloody thing down in your journal. Say, I got scared today. Something happened. It just freaked me out, Write it in there. Even if it's something you want to overcome and you go, I want to do better than that. I feel like I can do better than that. What's wrong with me? That's your ego talking to you, trying to defeat you. Just don't listen to it, all right? It's not helping you. It's part of the problem. It's judging you. So you've got to get past the fear. You've got to get past, the chastising. That's what I'll call the ego when it does that. It's chastising. We never learn like that. Did any of you learn like that when you were in school, when you were chastised?
No, you shut down.
Exactly. You shut down. You just go, I'm not buying that one. It's self-preservation when you do that, when you shut down.
Mm-hmm. Or people will tell you can't do this or you can't do that. That's exactly what you want to go do.
Absolutely.
What's so much fun about that I can't do it?
What am I missing? What are you trying to, safeguard so much that I want to know about?
All you have to know about is if you do that, that's a sin.
Or you're going to get in trouble. Something
you're going to get a beating. You're going to go sit in the corner.
So these are things that, what does it feel like to be disconnected? It feels alarming. That's when fear creeps in. That's when worry gets in there and doubt starts to take over. And then when doubt takes over, what comes next is fear. When fear happens, it shuts you right down. You're shut down. You can't be reached at that point. So you got to catch this thing while it's early on. Write it all down, and then you've safeguarded yourself. It's your lifeline to keep you from being pulled into that and losing yourself in it,
And what did the guides say so many times to you about what would be the biggest tragedy of our times?
What they told me in chapter 1, I talk about it. The biggest tragedy, they said, the biggest tragedy of our times is that most people will die having lived fear-based lives. That was chapter 1. That's before I was 20 months old. I mean, this was all just coming through. I'm going, I didn't know how to assimilate all this. I didn't know how to, of course I didn't. It was just all there. It was like a bleed through from where I came from, and this is why you're here.
It was kind of a warning to you too, that they also said, most people will die having lived a fear-based life. And they also told you, I don't know what their exact words were, that you would only be able to help
the ones who can be reached.
The ones who can be reached.
Right. That's right. And that's true with any of you. As you move through this and you work with your awareness and your guidance and your connection, you'll see more disconnected people. It's not that more people are disconnected, not at all. It's that you're no longer disconnected. So you can see it.
Yeah.
So with it comes the consequences of being sober in this life. You see things that you really didn't see before, kind of protected you from seeing it.
Yeah, that's...
ignorance is bliss, that type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to see things for what they are, you see it all. They just don't, it just doesn't come through and go, well, this seems like a nice thing for you to know right now, but, we won't show you any of this because it could upset you. If they don't think about that, they know you can handle it. It's just now you're ready for the whole thing. This is it. This is the whole truth, not just the part that resonates and feels good, but this is the whole truth. And here's what happens when you know this truth. Here's some consequences. Some consequences are really great. You like them. Other consequences are, and I'm going to use this word because this is the one word that comes to mind for me, disappointing.
Yeah, if your friends and family are disconnected or the people you work with are disconnected, and you start to see this all the time.
Because now you're connected.
Right, because you're connected.
Not arrogant,
No.
but connected.
You just see things differently now. And when you're around those people, I don't care if you're related to them or not, but when you're around those people, their energy just kind of is like fingernails on a blackboard.
Yeah.
You can't stand to be around them.
Well, it's not really that. It's not really that. You just feel like you can't make the connection to them. They're not connected. If you're connected and they're not connected, then how do you connect with that? Right, you guys? Okay, let them talk.
You want to shout to them what you know and help them to understand, but they're not ready for that, so they're not going to hear you. And
You can only help who?
very disappointing.
You can only help which ones, Kathy? The ones
that
who
are ready
can't
to
be
hear.
reached.
Yeah.
So how do the rest of you deal with that as you're moving through this and the light bulb's going off?
Well, I'm the newest. I'm sorry for barging in, but
Don't ever apologize. We love having you barge in.
thank you. I'm going through that right now. I'm just waking up probably the last year, and I'm so amazed with a lot of this information. And I do think it's becoming much more prevalent. Thank God for the internet. It has so much good and bad to offer, but I'm feeling the same way. Like we have this fam bam. It's our texting of just our family of 5. And I want to put out so much, but I know that, teens don't listen to you anyway. So now you try to give them some insight about this clarity that's coming through. And they're like, whatever, Dad.
Okay.
Thanks, Deir.
You want a little input on this?
Yes, please.
Okay. You like you said, like you don't know anything, especially when they're teenagers, they don't listen, right? So what's your only option?
Is I just try and do it when I think they're open.
Okay, try this. Instead of telling them what you know, listen to what they know.
Okay.
You need to listen to what they know. And when you hear what they're saying and you listen to what they're talking about, and you make little notes as they're talking, just because you need to really connect with this, right? Then you can just start asking them questions, just like you would hope they would ask you if you offered advice. Turn the tables completely and let them. And I'm telling you, Tom, you're going to find some things out that you didn't know before. You know the part where I said consequences? Okay, they might tell you some things that might surprise you or make the hair stand up on the back of you. I mean, you better be ready for what they have to tell you because they're teenagers now.
True.
Okay.
All right, so I'll listen to them.
Listen to them. Yeah.
I'd get them to read guided.
Well, get them to talking first.
Yeah.
They've spent their whole life being told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of tired of it.
Yeah, they probably are.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. I recommend the same thing for the little 2-year-old or younger. Is just instead of telling them what to do, what not to do, how to do it, blah, 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 spend some time with them, play their games, listen to how they communicate out loud when you're not around. Hear what they're talking about. They're talking to their guides. They're communicating. Just like they always have when they were one with all this before they got here. So your teenagers are, I love those guys. They're great. And they've got a lot of attitude to go along with it. So, you got to be open. But they're gonna really appreciate you listening.
Yep.
All right. I wrote the note. Listen.
Yeah, listen and learn, and be ready for some surprises.
Well, it's funny. My daughter, she's at University of Denver. She's a freshman, and she's talking to my wife, and she's like, "Hey, do you guys want to know this stuff? Do you really want to know this other stuff other than my schoolwork?" And Marsha's like, "Yeah, go ahead. We have to bridge this gap." And so, just listen to what she's up to. So I hear you.
Oh, that's really good. Your wife is on it. She's got it.
She doesn't want to lose her, because if you're only getting one part of it, you're not getting the whole, so we try and really accept it all, good and bad.
That's right. And
as much as we can.
Right. That's right. The only way you can really be authentic with each other is if you can communicate openly. We spend our whole lives trying to come out of that, getting that. Whoopi Goldberg had a saying, and I really like this. I don't necessarily like all the things she says and does, but this one thing I really connected with. Somebody said to her, they go, "You're really talented, Whoopi. Why did it take you so long to become found and known?" She goes, "Well, if they got their foot off my throat, like holding me down, I could have done it sooner." And it's really true. People, many times, they won't let you speak your mind. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to have to deal with that, okay? They just don't want to be bothered with it. And when somebody is open to them and really wants to hear how they're doing and where they're coming from, wow, what a different world it would be,
What else they don't want to hear is they don't want to hear you disagree with them. So no matter what they say.
Who's they?
Like your kids. You don't want to say, "Oh, that's wrong, that's right." Don't want to agree with them. You don't want to disagree with them.
Right.
All you want to do is say, "Well, that's an interesting way to look at that.
Right.
I'd like to hear more about why you think like that."
Or how that's working for you.
How's that working for you?
That's a big one. Sometimes they'll talk about this stuff, but it's really not working for them very well. But they haven't had anyone to bounce it off of to really figure that out. Nobody can tell you what to do and it resonates. You've got to be self-realized. You've got to bump into it yourself before it's yours. Otherwise, it's somebody else's. You're not really buying it,
They're just doing what all their friends are doing.
So you give them that room to see it, to bounce it, to feel it. And then when you go, "Well, how's it working for you?" They go, "That's the first time anyone asked him that." Simple stuff, you guys.
Very profound.
I know, it really is. So when you feel like you're disconnected from your guides, here's another thing that happens. You have, like Ray mentioned earlier, you have more questions than answers. You were going along, everything was fine. You knew what to do. You had the answers, all right? All of a sudden, you've got questions, but you don't have any answers. That's when you're disconnected from your guides. That's a warning sign. Another one is you have that anxious feeling. You start feeling nervous inside. Ooh, you just feel uneasy. You know something's not right. You're disconnecting. Watch out. That's a warning sign.
Anxiety is worrying about the future.
Right. You're stepping out of the present moment. And the only place that you can connect with your guides is where? The present moment. That's where they reside. They don't reside in the past or the future. They're here right now. So when we bounce like that, we're in either one place or the other, we broke it. We broke the connection. That's not where they are. So they can't reach you. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when we get into a state of worry and doubt, that's a little more advanced after the anxious feelings, worry and doubt. Now we're starting to really grind through what we're thinking about all this. What if I did that? Well, what if I do that? Well, you're starting to second guess yourself. You're starting to go through all that. And then if that gets out of control and you can't stop it there, you can't head it off right there, start writing and finding out what this is, it moves into fear. And fear is like this. Ugh. It's got you. It's like, oh my God, I couldn't have gone that far with this. I couldn't have let it take me that far down the road, you know. But that's what happens, you know. Once you get used to this connection that you have with your guides, these things that used to haunt you that I just read no longer control you. They can't control you. The first line of defense, lifeline, is to write it in your journal. You've got to write this stuff down as you're moving through it, because then you can look back. And Tom, this is another thing about the journal. You write down how every intuitive moment, you wrote it down. Driving the car, you have that insight come through. You write it down. You're in the shower, you have that guidance come through. You write it down. Your dream, you write it down. All this kind of stuff. The key here is how it made you feel. If you were to take your journal and just go, okay, I'm not going to read the dreams, I'm not going to read the guidance or anything that I wrote down. I'm just going to breeze through quickly. It's like that one line, you know, how it made me feel, how it made me feel, how it made me feel, how it in a chronological order, how this made me feel. It will tell you what you need to know. It's shorthand for where you're at and where you're going. It's really, really powerful. So keep that in mind. You've got to write that part down. Once you master that part where you know how you feel in your day-to-day life, you're going to know tonight it's about what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides, what it feels like. You're going to know the instant you feel that, whatever that disconnection starts to creep in, you're going to know exactly what it is, because you trained yourself to realize what you felt the minute it happened. And you can stop it right there. When you're connected to your feelings don't lie. Your thinking lies. Okay, it needs to be questioned. It needs to be, analyzed. But what you feel is so true. It's just, it shows up just like this. It's not even, you didn't even have enough time to think about what it was going to feel like before you felt what it was. It's the truth just slamming in on you. You can't miss it. As you're going through all this, even as you're moving through all this, your guides never give up on you. They know, they watch you get lost. They're right there with you. They never go anywhere. They're there when when they can reach you again. They're always there, right when you need them. And you can go in these circles and you can, go around and around and around. And we do that for many years sometimes, until we just finally go, I'm just going to cut this out. I'm done with this. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I'm going to do what I need to do to go move true north to the guidance. And I don't always know where the guidance has taken me. I'll tell you that right now. I do not always know where the guidance has taken me. I'm married to Ray, taking us, all right? And in Guided, in part 4, I talk about the part where Ray steps into my life, and now it's taking us, and how Ray was like, whoa, he pushed on the brakes. He's going, oh, I don't know, Linda, we're getting the guidance. And I'd say, okay, Ray, we're getting the guidance. The guides came through and they talked to us about this. And the opportunity passed, like 3 months later. And Ray goes, oh my God. And I go, well, you see how things would have worked out if we had stepped into the guidance, right? And then he'd get to the point where he'd go, yeah, I got it, Linda, like he didn't want to hear it again, And then it got to the point where we could literally not afford to not step into it anymore. And I said to him one day in September of 2010, I said, are you ready to step into this guidance, Ray? Because I know how to do it. It's 2 years now since you've been slamming the brakes on. And I've been with you on this, but Are you done suffering? Are you done, paying the price for this? And he just said to me, he goes, yeah, I'm done. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. And we stepped into it. It took 30 days. It was done. It was over. And he was like, he felt, how to describe, he felt like a little kid. He felt so free from his thinking, his resistance, and everything that we get in the way of that guidance, right? And ever since then, Ray has been, he'd say to me, he goes, Linda, I don't understand this. It doesn't completely, I'm not used to it like you are. I go, I know you're not. But, do you believe in me? Do you trust me? And he said, yeah. I said, then I'll tell you, this is what we're going to do, Ray. Are you good? And he'd swallow and go, yeah, I'm good, Linda. Because he saw what the consequences were before. So it didn't always, it wasn't always something that was maybe something the families would understand, and they talk behind our backs, and whatever happened, there were always consequences, you guys. But, we moved that way, and it's worked out really, really, you talked about it.
I do. It's something that just over the last, 2 months, we've had
another wave of it.
Another wave of guidance, right?
Huge.
One after another. And it said, at first, it may not have looked like it caught you off guard. A lot of guidance.
It always
a lot of times,
does.
Yeah, guidance catches you off guard.
It does.
You weren't expecting. You expect guidance, but you didn't expect it to be like that. You're not going to tell me anything bad, are you?
It's not that it was bad. It
wasn't bad.
It was a lot.
It was a lot,
right?
And people think that if they get a warning, I won't call it bad. If you get a warning,
right,
that it's bad. Well, I don't think that's bad, not anymore. If you get a warning that the train, you're standing on the track, the train's coming, it's time to get off the track, and the train goes by, well, that was good. even if you couldn't hear the train coming.
Here's what I really love about the guidance, you guys. In a world where we live in a world of manipulation and lies, we really do. It's never been so rampant as it is these days. It's just out of control. So who is going to help you?
Your
Who's
guide.
going to help you navigate this?
Your guides.
Right? That's the connection, the ultimate connection. They have no bias. They have no agenda. You are their everything. You had this contract with them before you came here, and it's their job to see that you get what you came here to do done. All right? That's their job. Now, they can't make you do it. You have to walk that way. All right? This is free will. This is your life. But this is their job. And I'll tell you, the guides are relentless. They will never give up on you. And that's that feeling, that urge you feel, that uneasy feeling you get when you go, oh man, I know I have to do something. I feel it, I know it, and I'm scared. Sometimes that feels like that. Well, yeah, life, sometimes it might scare you. But once you get through enough of this and you go there enough times and you follow that guidance enough times and you see it through, it won't scare you anymore. You'll be connected. You'll always be connected.
What's scary to you is usually based in some belief that you've held for decades.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And what somebody might think about you. That's huge.
Yeah. What are they going to think about?
How are you going to be judged by your fellow man or whoever? All right. What are they going to say about you? It really, that causes you to edit everything that comes through. If guidance comes through, you start whacking it. You start editing it. Because, you can't do that because that would interrupt this, or, well, they might think this, or here's how I dealt with it. There's one of the blog posts that we did a couple of years ago. It's called Keep Your Guidance to Yourself. All right. Another one is this book, Guided. I didn't start writing Guided until I was 60, and I published it when I was 62. No one ever knew anything. I never told anybody until I wrote this book.
You didn't tell me.
I didn't.
Parts of it you told me.
It's just, there was no reason to even bring it up, because I was following my guidance. I was living a great life, all right? I didn't need anybody interrupting it or threatening me. As a young child growing up in a family of abuse for 16 years, I learned to safeguard myself really well. Well, I guess by the time I turned 60, 62, I was over it, you know. I was saying, I got the guidance. They told me to write this book, and I got the guidance to write this book and tell my story so other people could begin to understand what this is, you know. My best kept secrets, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me much about what's in the book. I mean, before you wrote it. She didn't even let me read it until she was done writing it. But I mean, you told me bits and pieces of, you know, you told me you ran away from home when you were a little kid. You didn't tell me you were 20 months old.
No, I didn't tell you much of anything. There was, you know what it's like, what it felt like to me, and until I wrote Guided, and people came to me with questions, right? It felt like talking out of context. You know, you tell somebody a little bit right here, but it didn't really tie into anything, so they really didn't bother me to know much more, or some of them did, but not, they didn't want to know too much more, just a little bit, you know. But until I wrote Guided, did the whole thing get laid out in the sequence that it happened in, with the detail that it happened in. And then it connected. People made the connection, and they're going, well, that's me. I felt like that, you know, that type of thing. So it's this disconnection. When you feel disconnected, just grab it right there. You feel it hit you. You know it. It's going to hit you right here. You're going to feel it right here. You just have to write it down so that that's the end of that disconnection, and you release it.
A lot of people, we've met a lot of people, you know, speaking engagements and things like that, or just telling them about the book, that have never told anybody. They're like you. They didn't tell anybody anything about their life, you know, and they meet Linda and they go, that was me. I ran away from home when I was 3. The police found me running down Pacific Coast Highway. You know.
Everyone has something that happened along the way,
right,
that limited their life.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the shackles off. You just want to take those shackles off so you're no longer unlimited. And the next step is to not be fearful of the guidance that comes through, and fearful about seeing it through. And the way that you do it is you write it down, all right? You got to write it down. And then once you write it down, and it's proof. There it is. It's there. It's the truth. It happened. And there's the date. You know, and that's how it made me feel. And that's what I realized. And what did I do with it? Well, maybe I didn't do anything with it yet, but I'm getting this. I'm getting my head around this. So you guys, feedback from you.
See, I'm taking a lot of notes. That's good.
Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to let the guides talk to you at this point.
Okay.
See how I take that breath? Always take that breath. Release all that tension that we humans carry so they can come through, all right?
Before you can learn to heal, you must learn how to feel. It's a process that without one or the other, you can't have a growth or healing experience. All you have is another story to talk about.
I want to say this one thing, you guys. It's not, if ever you think it's just another day, you're just in your life and it's just another day, you're missing the guidance. If you ever feel like, oh, this is so boring, I'm sick of this, it's just another day, you know, just another day, then you have set yourself up to miss the guidance.
You set yourself up and miss the rest of your life.
But you've missed the guidance. It's just in the moment that you're missing it. You can change your mind and say, no, this is far from being just another day. This is my life. This is the moment I'm in, and I want to be awake for that moment so I can connect with that guidance. It's not just another day. How many times have you guys felt like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just another day. And if you feel like it's just another day, guidance is giving you that feeling, so you can make a course correction. You need to make a correction. You need to change something, shift something, do something, change something. Write it in your journal. If it feels like just another day, it doesn't feel substantial, it doesn't feel alive, okay, write it in your journal so that you can start to track yourself. You will no longer be living just another day. Do you guys have any questions before we close tonight?
I do.
Uh-oh.
I want to talk about something we talked about last week. Joy and the vertigo. Are you still getting vertigo?
Yeah, I still am.
Somebody else was too. Who else in the group was getting?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot. It seems to be going around. We talked to a lot of people recently and said, "Oh, I get vertigo. I'm getting dizzy. I wake up and I'm dizzy. I don't know where I am. Whatever." All right, I did a little study here. Dizziness and vertigo symptoms are connected with problems of the Ajna chakra, also known as the third eye. When this energy center is underactive, you will have difficulty understanding the connection between your inner and outer realities and the spiritual side of the world. When your third eye chakra is opened and in balance with your other chakras, you will start opening up to the consciousness of the universe.
Cool. Nice.
Okay, so you might want to hear that again, what Ray read. And where did you get that research, Ray?
Oh, I forget. I'm a respecific maniac.
Yeah, he goes out there and he researches. And what was your keyword that you researched to find that?
The spiritual meanings of dizziness or
Okay.
vertigo.
Vertigo. Okay. Yeah.
Now, you felt vertigo a lot when you were in Japan.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
I think it's because their landmass is not stable.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it, and it didn't stop until I left. So there's something about their landmass, and I'm trying to think, did I have that dream? I had a dream about that I talk about in Guided about Japan. So there's you're going to experience these things. Hopefully you won't let these things scare you. Again, don't let this life scare you. It's not meant to scare you. And that's another thing about the guides. The reason they come through your dreams in the beginning, they'll really come through your dreams when you're waking up, is because they don't want to scare you. In your day life, they don't want to come through and just telepathically start talking to you. You know, it'll catch you by surprise. I talk about that in Guided, where it caught me by surprise. Out-of-body experiments I was going through. It caught me by surprise, and I slam right back into my body. It's like, wow, give me a big headache, It'll give you, you're not used to it. This world doesn't, it's not like that, So once you get through some of these little rough spots, it won't surprise you so much. And you'll even forget you even went through that. But that vertigo thing is when it happens, and I've had it happen not just when I went to Japan, I've had it happen other times, where I literally didn't know if I was in a dream or if I was in a day life. Where am I? And that's when I started learning to do this, pinching myself. If I could pinch myself and feel the pinch, I knew I was in this life. If when I pinched myself, I didn't feel it, I knew I was in a dream.
Oh, wow.
That's how intense it got. Okay, so they'll come through your dreams first because they don't want to scare you, and then as you start waking up, you're more open to receiving their guidance, and they start slipping in the one-liners. They start slipping in the guidance in your day life, driving the car, in the shower, whatever. The mindless stuff. that's when they go, oh yeah, we can reach you now. And they'll bring it through.
Yeah.
And you'll start to notice that. So you're graduating all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the dreams are powerful. If you're remembering your dreams, you can connect with your guidance. That's really how that works. Tuesday next week, November 13th, watch or interact with us right here on Zoom. In Linda's weekly Guided Insights is where you receive the link to join us to talk to your guides, to us, and to the group. 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. To be published next Tuesday morning in Linda's weekly Guided Insights. The guides will be talking about distractions keep you disconnected from guidance. Have you noticed how many people seem distant and not present when you are speaking to them? Where are they? What could be more important than what you are attempting to communicate? They are not present because they are consumed with distractions. These distractions come in many forms: their family life, their work environment, their kids, their relationships, and more often than not, they are overextended in most areas of their lives, keeping them distracted. That's a big one. Yeah.
I remember being distracted throughout most of my life
Yeah.
by
Chasing
obligations.
things. Chasing.
What you thought were obligations that you could not, get out of. It was your duty to do that because that's the way it was.
Well, to go to work, to make money, to pay the mortgage, the 2 mortgages that I know.
2 mortgages and 6 cars and all that stuff.
It's ridiculous how it gets carried away and out of hand.
Yep.
And we can all relate to it. Really, distractions. Joy, you wrote that post, that comment to that one post on dilemmas that talked about the distractions that you got rid of recently and what it put you through, Joy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So many things. So many. My son's dilemma, he did accept the job to Japan, but now he's thinking maybe he won't do that. So
Well, that's natural. That's natural.
Okay. So you're when you get consumed with what he's going to do or not do, then
Right.
you're consumed with his life and not with your own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just another opportunity to be distracted, Joy.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to get it.
I've helped thousands of people change jobs. I was an executive recruiter for over 20 years. And when they feel like that, when they accept a job, when they decide they're going to take a job, and then they start thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't, they're thinking about all of the bad things or what's the worst that can happen.
Yep.
They're not thinking about what's the best that can happen.
Yeah.
You got to get him to think about that. What are the good things?
Yeah. Well, he's kind of always been like that anyway. There's always something new and great.
It's a
that
big
comes-
job.
I know.
Okay, so don't miss another week of us live right here on Zoom so you can talk with your spirit guides and angels. We welcome your comments about how you imagine this insight working in your life. And thank you for your comment today, Veronica. That was great. And I replied to you, so look for that. Okay, and what you took away from tonight's insight. And you can always go to these insights and find them on lindadeir.com. Just go to the menu blog, and it'll take you to that blog page. And it's the latest one that was just posted. That's the one we're talking about tonight. All right. So
And we want to thank Kathy for that wonderful review she
Kathy.
left.
Kathy, did you guys see that review that Kathy left?
Yeah, I saw it today.
I featured it because it was so awesome. I just can't say enough to you, Kathy. Thank you.
That's the
Kathy.
first time anybody left a video review on any of your books.
I couldn't believe we've had over 1,000 reviews on the books, with all the books. And Kathy never saw a video review before. Oh my God, that was the coolest.
That was cool.
That was over the top. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was very sincere.
It was awesome. Oh my God. So, and again, leave reviews for these books, you guys, for My Guided Journey and My Journal Writing, if you would please.
They need love. They need a little review love.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so we're going to close the session today, you guys, with what it feels like to be disconnected from your guides. And no one could answer that question or talk about it better
than the guides.
So here they go.
It's difficult enough to try and manage your life by yourself. It leads to doubt and panic. It leads to questioning if you will ever be able to figure it out by yourself. Don't let your panic keep you from breathing, getting calm, asking for help, and listening for our wisdom.
That's why using your journal and writing this stuff down, and when you guys, and it will happen, you'll have a situation that'll show up that'll just throw you way off your game. It's like the last thing you ever expected to happen. There are no accidents. That's the first thing. There are no accidents. It's so hard to imagine that sometimes.
Yeah.
You are at that point. Imagine this, and I know because I lived it and I wrote about it. You're like a pawn in the game. You're getting moved around on this chessboard by some other divine type of energy. You're just part of the game. You realize that, wow, I'm just a small part of this. When that trauma hits you, when that whatever that is that you didn't expect shows up, all right? I'm just a piece of this thing. There's all these other people involved. There's all these other things involved. So you really do have to sit back and just go, I got to humble myself here. I got to do what it takes just to stay in my body, just to stay present, to stay right where I'm at. Don't try to go back to a past, because there is no past, and don't try to chase a future, because that's not for you to bother with. That is not where you are. You are right here. Don't try to run from it. You can't run away from it. You have to go through it. That's why you came here. Trust it. Trust that. Okay? You will not disconnect from your guidance. You might get thrown off for a minute and like thrown into shock. And by the way, shock is a good thing, because shock, it protects you. It protects you from going off in that panic mode. It puts you in some kind of limbo. You guys have been in shock before, right?
Yeah.
The rest of you?
I don't know.
Nina?
I'm sure I have. I can't think of anything right off, but I'm.
Kathy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have, Kathy. And Tom?
Yeah, definitely been shocked.
Okay, so that shock, it gives you that time out. It holds you in limbo. It gives you a chance to catch your breath,
It shocks you right back into the present moment.
So you can do that. You can do that for yourself. You can go, this is overwhelming. This is too much. I'm not dealing with this. I can't connect with this. And your way of dealing with the shock is start writing out what it is. No one will ever see this. This is yours, all right? And you write it down, and then you can go back to that and go, what was I thinking? What was that? Because you won't remember what you wrote down. It's so traumatic what you just experienced. But this is the discipline that's going to keep you, it's going to be your lifeline. Okay,
So-
this is going to be.
Can I ask a question, Linda?
Yes, yes.
So you would write it down right as soon as
Yes.
thing happens?
Fast as you can.
Oh,
Fast as you can, because you're in shock. You're out of the way. You have been removed from the situation. You've been pulled out of the room. All right. The rest of you's left. The calm part of you, just before you start to go into fear and come out of shock. That's what happens. You've got to write it down before you go there. All right. So that once you have it written down, and then you start snapping out of it, so to speak, and coming out of the shock, you can see the wisdom in the shock and what it gave you as information, where you still had you were still connected, because that's what shock is. It protects you.
okay.
Yeah. And then what'll happen is, as I talk about it in Guided, chapter 15, when Mark was killed, and I went into shock like crazy. And in that shock, all the guidance just came flooding through. I mean, it just all showed up, you know.
Yeah.
There was no way. And all I had to do was just walk there, just walk that way, you guys. And everything worked out better than had I never could have known what to do next. That quick, okay? I never could have known, but I sure did. I sure did know. And I knew it because I spent my whole life journaling, writing stuff down, so I wouldn't get caught off guard. My big fear in my life was always getting caught off guard. I was, growing up in the family I grew up in, I had eyes on the back of my head because I always had my guard up, and it was something that just annoyed me. I did not want to be caught off guard. I couldn't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
So how did I avoid it? I did a lot of journal writing as a kid. And that's how I learned to know me. I didn't even know what the outcome would be, what the benefits were. I just knew that no one in this world could I talk to, okay, about what I was experiencing.
Mm.
And this was it. I wrote in here, and that's when I started to realize, as I was writing in my journal, at the time as a little kid, writing in my journal, I would see my guidance come through. I would be writing in my journal, and I would look back and I'd say, I don't remember writing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens.
Yeah, when you go back, look through Guided, look at the pictures of Linda growing up, there's most of the pictures you are very concerned, very focused, like you're watching out for something.
I mean, I can look back at it now and go, God, I really was. I mean, I was on all the time. All right. Mm-hmm. But what's amazing, only because I had my guidance with me, my guides were always there, and I always had the connection to them, that I could just see through it all. I saw through it all. And even to this day, I tend to work fast, and people have a hard time catching up to me sometimes because I'm just used to working fast. When you work with your guides, it goes really fast, okay? So this world, you see this world's like slow motion compared to being connected, all right? When you're connected, you're on. You're ready. You get the guidance, it just shows up, and you're on. You're ready to go that way. It's fun. You go way past fear and scared. You just go, when I was riding that merry-go-round and holding on with one hand, and I was leaning back going, yes, okay. Everyone else was letting go and hitting the sidewalls and dying.
Yeah.
It was that feeling. It's like, you guys, follow your guidance. It's the best way to go. The only way to go. You're connected. You're not here by yourself. You're not alone. And this is what you agreed to do together with your guides when you came into this life, to live the life you intended. Otherwise, there's no way you on your own is going to pull that off. I can tell you that it won't work. Too many things are going to come up. Insecurities will consume you. Yeah. But when you're guided and you're not afraid of stepping into it It's like riding that merry-go-round, holding onto that pole, leaning back and going, let's go. You know, you're just all in. So that's my world. That's what I know.
Awesome.
Yep, she's hard to keep up with.
Oh man, it's just like you have the energy. You feel good. You're alive. You know, and that's what you're supposed to feel like. By the way, it's not something that's special or something I have that you'll never have. It's something that's normal. That's why this book was written. Part 2, My Guided Journey, and taking the journey in part 2, Tom, is the key right here. This will get you back into who you are. That's what I want to say. It'll bring it all back.
And there's 19 MP3s that go with that. There's 19 videos that go with that too, but you don't want to sit around and watch 19 hours of video. You can download the MP3s and just listen to them at your leisure, but there's one MP3 for each chapter in My Guided Journey.
Yeah. It's designed to get you there, you know.
Okay, everybody.
You guys. We always love having you guys.
And Tom, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having